Hi there guys, and welcome to another Bloudam in Extreme Fishing episode with news updates and weather reports and everything what's going on. Estuary fishing, spear fishing, deep sea fishing, rock and surf fishing, shark fishing, anything we can find out, we'll let you know what's going on. I'm joined here by Johan from Extreme Fishing again this morning, and he's got Captain White Steenbras, and he's got the White Steenbras here for a reason. We are going to dive into a little bit of White Steenbras fishing. We've been doing a lot of galjoen fishing this last couple of weeks, so yeah, I think everybody's tired of galjoen fishing by this stage of the season. We're looking for the summer fish, but there is another fish that you can actually target in the winter months, and that is your White Steenbras. So we're going to be diving into hooks, traces, bait, rods and reels that you can use, and everything in between for the White Steenbras. But let's get to the news update, what was happening last week, and then we'll look a little bit at the weather, what's happening this week, and what fish you can target. Okay, so Jan, last week first, I see that it's still galjoen. It's mainly galjoen last week. Was that because of the big seas?
Yes, so mainly big seas open up your washes around your bait, so it opens up the red bait pods and so on, so they've got a lot of food to chow on and that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, after the galjoen derby, I see that everybody was still targeting galjoen, and honestly, not a preferred fish for me to eat, so I don't enjoy targeting. I enjoy the chase because it's quite difficult to catch a galjoen, not for all anglers. Some anglers catch 6 or 7 a day, but I see on Facebook and everywhere the guys in Cape Town, they're still fishing and they're still landing a lot of galjoen. I know that Dirkie went out with his kids, Dirkie Snyman, he caught a lot of galjoen over the weekend, and there's a couple of monsters that came out. There was a 60 centimeter that came out in Cape Town area.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful galjoen, that one. And then also yeah, the steenies has been a little bit more quiet, but that's probably because of the bigger seas. You don't catch the steenies in the bigger seas, so that's probably why the guys. I know that the wilderness area the week before last week were producing a couple of nice steenies, and I'm not talking about these belly size ones. I'm talking about those 8, 9, 10 kilogram fish. So they are still around. But yeah, basically still last week only galjoen. The guys on the deep sea that managed to catch a little bit of those winter cob from the wilderness area up into the Buffalo's Bay area. Also news that the stockfish, the hake, came out last week. There was a couple of boats that went out and got some really nice hake, Knysna Heads. And the area of Knysna Heads is really nice because you don't have to drive far. Your stockfish, your hake is often in deeper water. You're looking at from 50 meters onwards up to 80, 90 meters. So, and from the area in Knysna, it's not a far drive by boat that you have to drive, and then it's a big drop that you get into 80 meters. About 3-4 k's out, you get your 80 meters of water fairly quickly. So yeah, on the spearfishing front, nothing, still dirty water, nobody's spearfishing. There was a 1 or 2 days that the guys did go out and they speared a couple of mussel crackers, but not a lot. Still younger mussel crackers coming out, and the targeting. And then estuaries, the estuaries are starting to get some action, but it is very cold. The fish are biting at night time. The guys in the Eastern Cape, they are still smashing the grunters. Sondagsrivier, Gamtoes, those guys, they are still smashing the grunters. Not a lot of cop. There's been here and there report of guys that was brave enough to sit in the night, in the weather, in the cold, and they did get their cop. So yeah, that's the news. Looking forward to this week, Johan. Big swell again, fish to target.
It's going to be mainly galjoen again.
Mainly galjoen again.
Yeah, main galjoen, cracker maybe, but
areas to target, still the same areas. So Flat Rocks, that area, Wilderness, Buffalo's Bay of the Rocks, Gourits of the Rocks, that's your main areas to target once again.
Yeah.
Okay. The guys in the Titicaca has also been doing quite well, and most of the winning fish came from that area. The better fish in the galjoen derby also came from that area.
Yeah.
So this week you're looking at a surf averages between 1.8 and 2.5. That's going to be your surf up until the weekend. Stays more or less the same. Barometric air pressure is staying more or less the same, around about 1015 to 1010. Not ideal fishing weather, but it's reasonable fishing weather. The swells in deep sea is picking up to 4-5 meters, and I think one day, Wednesday, around about Wednesday, Thursday, it picks up to 6 meters, the swell. But the surf not so much. So there's big swell coming. Yeah, that's all that we actually have to report on the catching side. And your weather wise, still not galjoen cob weather, still galjoen weather. If you can find a little bay that's got holding a little bit better water, that's a little bit flat, you can target your steenies, but in general, still going to be off the rocks, rough conditions, like Johan said, your red baits, your mussels, not so much mussel because the sea is big, so it's going to be more on the smelly bait side. Get those red baits nice and mature. And I was fishing, actually, we were fishing on Saturday. We went out, me and Gion and Francois went out for a quick session, and we started throwing with different red baits, type of difference. We had the sand red bait that's a little bit lighter, and then we had your normal rock red bait. And then we had fresh ones, and then we had a little bit more mature ones. There was a dark red, like a nice deep dark red.
Yeah.
And so we started and we tried with all the 3 different baits, and the mature one, the dark red bait, definitely got better bites. And then we all switched that, and we got actually a couple of nice pulls. I made a very stupid error. The one fish pulled me flat, and as I was trying to put the tension on the circle hook, I popped the hook out. And Gion also had one on that was hanging on there, and as soon as he tried to set, the hook also came out. So rookie mistake there. Let the fish pull you flat on a circle hook. Don't start putting tension on it before he's flat.
Yeah, there's a certain way the fish bite scale, you get a better understanding on how circle works. Sometimes you can actually put a bit of force. They tend to bite scallop.
Skittish.
Yeah, on that hook. So you can't always wait for it to go flat because you're gonna miss it as well.
That's exactly what happened, because we had a couple of very nice bites, and then I decided, well, some of the guys switched over to J hook because they were biting skittish, so that you can set the hook. And I made my bait a little bit smaller so that it can swallow the bait. I didn't go big baits, because then they come and peck and they don't find the hook. So I made a little bit smaller bait on the hook, and it pulled me flat. And then
try and give it a bit more, and,
Yeah.
and then lean into the rod.
Yeah, because it's a circle.
Don't try and pull the rod. Try and lean into the rod.
That's exactly what I did, but it's still popped. Okay, so now we're going to go into a little bit more technical talk about the white steenbras. So we've got a lot of stuff here in front of us, Johan. It's where we're going to start.
Let's start with what you need most. There's a fishing rod to start off with.
Okay.
So we chose the Akuma Euphoria. Super nice rods, nice parabolic bend on them, so nice and soft when you get something on. It's not so hard on the back, and so not on the fish as well. But if you need the backbone, you've got it. So I would suggest something 14'6", 14'3" to 5, 3 to 6, perfect for that.
3 to 6.
Yeah, these Euphorias, they come in different sizes. So going with the 14'6" and 15, they come in 3 to 6 ounces, and then going smaller or shorter, you go to the 14 foot with a 3 to 5.
I love these Akuma Forests. It's a beautiful rod, and like Johan said, now the bend on them, it's just a very comfortable rod to fish with. It's a really nice rod to fish with. Okay, then a reel.
Reel wise, we've got the Selena here for today. There's a lot of models under this that you can also go for. We just chose it because it's beautiful. Mainly a 6000. I see you guys chose the 8, but I'll rather go with the 6. It's not needed for something big. Going for fish is always better going lighter.
Yeah, I actually learned this last couple of years, is the lighter you go, the more pickups you get, and the more fun it actually is.
Yes.
You don't want to go there and go with sharp tackle and catch a steenie. It takes the fun out of the whole fight. So even estuary fishing, when we're going now, the lighter we go, the more fun you actually have.
Yeah.
And since I've been doing that, the more pickups I'm actually getting on that lighter tackle.
No,
so
exactly.
it's definitely a lot more fun, number one, and your pickup rate is a lot higher.
Yeah.
This is the same reels that Alvi caught that Galjoen on, and he fishes with those rods and reels. He fishes with the Marianas,
Yes.
Akuma Marianas.
So the Mariana is your almost top of the range rod in the series. It's purple. It's also beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful rod. Paired with the Salina, it really does look beautiful on the beach.
I must say, these guys, combination, me, myself, a rod builder. I like to look mostly at the blanks, and then I go to how it's put together, the color combinations and that kind of stuff. If something is beautiful, you're going to catch something, because if it looks beautiful for you, you've got a bit better confidence.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
It's not to say that the rod or the reel is going to do it. If you've got a confidence in what you buy and it's beautiful, your chances of getting something is just that bit better.
And it's something that a lot of people don't actually understand when you're buying a rod. Yes, the blank is important, but the eyes, that's actually the expensive part.
Yeah.
When you're buying a rod, because sometimes you have the Fuji eyes and there's different eyes, but that's something to look at when you're actually buying a rod, is what type of eyes is on the rod, because that's a big part of the cost on the rod. So the Euphoria, what eyes does it offer?
Comes out with the Faz lights.
Okay. Is that
it's the mid-range of the Fuji series. It's not bad. You get it's literally in the middle of the range.
Okay.
So from there on you get the O-type, and then you get to the SICs, and then you go to the Torzite guides. The Torzites aren't made for us rock and surf guys. Super expensive, but it's not always to say that the expensive guide is the correct guide.
Okay.
So Fuji Faz lights, 100% perfect for rod and surf. Nice and strong. We haven't had a lot of these coming in with broken
Cards, eyes.
yeah, the inserts. Mostly your inserts is the thing that breaks, but it also depends on how you look after the rod.
Yeah, that's a big thing, and let's quickly touch on that. Rod maintenance, rod and reel maintenance. When you're done fishing, rinse it with fresh water.
Yeah.
And then let it dry.
Yes.
A lot of guys take it and they put it straight back in the bag, and that moisture is actually what starts hurting your rod, because now you put it in the bag. Now the bag is wet and you stuff it away in your garage or somewhere, and that's what actually breaks the glass.
Yeah.
But that's what actually starts causing problems.
So-
And the same with your reel.
Yeah.
Tighten your drag, rinse it with fresh water, loosen the drag again, and then let it dry for 1 or 2 days, and then you put it away.
Shake it off.
Shake it off, and then
Shake
you
it
put
off
it away.
a few times. The problem with your rods is your grips are, it's an EVA, so it's a type of foam.
Yes.
So the foam tends to soak up the water and it stays there for a while. That's why these stay outside the bag. Mine doesn't actually go into a bag when I'm home.
Yes.
It's only goes
It's only
into
for
the bag.
traveling. The bag is
Traveling.
only for traveling.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Don't put your rods and reels in the boxes or in their cases. Let them stand outside, and only when you're traveling, then you put them in a bag.
Yeah, and then
Brilliant
the water temperature, mostly make it warmer water, not cold fresh water.
No.
Warmer water tends to dry up quicker.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Braid. We're gonna put on this for steenbras fishing. If you're going, and I suppose your steenbras would also be the same rod and reel as you go for your cob.
Yeah.
The same type of
You can go
setup.
exactly the same.
Okay. So what pound of braid would you put on that?
Preferred braid, 30 pound.
30 pounds.
You can go lighter, 20 pounds. It's quite strong on the surf, a 20 to 30 pound braid. So yeah, you can, don't go too heavy, 40, 50 pounds. It's a bit heavy, tends to move.
Yeah. The thicker your braid, the more the thicker the braid physically is, and the more friction it has in the water.
Yeah.
So the thinner you go, the better. Once again, fishing lighter.
And then again, the distance. Usually with steenies, not always, but sometimes you have to get distance on your cast.
You want to go onto the back of that bank.
Yeah, that banks are sometimes far, and casting with a thinner braid just makes it a bit easier for you to cast further.
Talking about that bank, you're looking for flat water, and then you're looking for gullies on the side and in the front,
Yeah.
with a working bank at the back.
Yeah.
So that's why Johan is saying that sometimes you need that little bit more distance, and that's why you're also going for 3 to 5, 4 to 6 ounce, because some days you don't have to cast far, but other days you want that 5 or 6 ounce that you can actually get a nice distance on your cast.
Yeah.
So it's a nice range. Don't go for a 2 to 4 ounce, because then the day that you need the 5 or the 6 ounce, you're not going to have that distance to go there. You will be fine with a 2 to 4, but just have that little bit of a option to go for a little bit a deeper
You will be
bank.
surprised how far you can cast.
True.
It all depends on yourself as well.
Yes.
It doesn't help you go with a heavier rod just because you want to cast a 5 ounce today. If you feel comfortable with casting a 4 ounce or 3 ounce, I've got a little 12 foot that I put a 3 ounce on with super 15 pound braid. That thing casts a mile, but the combination works together.
There's the valid, that's the most important thing, because we've seen guys casting a 2 ounce lure with an 11-foot rod miles.
Yeah.
So it's all about the combination between your rod, your reel, your braid, your bait, your sinker. It's to have that perfect combination. And we were actually talking about it now, that we want to do a cast day.
Yes.
where people can come and test rods, different reels, different braids, and you can actually come and test the product before you buy it, because sometimes you buy something and I'm not really happy with what I bought. Now you can come and test it. So subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep you updated when we're going to have that cast day, when we're going to have a range of rods that you come and test on the surf, and you come and cast the rods on the surf. Okay, a little bit sidetracked there. Okay, so now we've got a rod or reel, we've got a braid on. Where do we go now?
Let's go to the trace.
Traces. Let's go to traces, because we still got traces, hooks, sinkers, and then this is where the important part comes, and then we're still going to go bait as well. So let's start with the traces. Leader line. What kilogram leader line you're going to use?
We have a 21 and an 18. It all depends on the weight you want to go for the day. Some guys prefer a thicker line, and then other guys prefer lighter. Going lighter is better. With a thicker one, it's got a different thing as well. The thicker it goes, the harder it actually is, or it stays straighter for longer.
Okay.
So I've had a guy that fished with 23 before, and the only reason for the 23 is not the weight of the line, but it stays straight.
So it doesn't tangle that easily.
Yes.
Okay.
So fish that come close to your bait, what happens to something that is on a softer line, the bait tends to move.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it keeps that bait a little bit better in place.
Yes. Sometimes you want your stuff to lay as still as possible.
And again, like always, the Maxima Ultra Green. For
Yeah,
some
we
reason, we
love
prefer the Maxima Ultra Green, even if it's estuary fishing, rock and surf. Just love the Maxima Ultra Green.
The main thing is the Ultra Green's got a color closer to your type of fishing. So your surf fishing, sometimes mostly same color. You know, so it's almost like a fluoro, but it's not a fluoro.
Yes.
Don't go change words now. It's not a fluoro. Okay. Fluoro's got a totally different working to it.
Okay, so now we've got hooks, and we've got I love fishing with these BKKs. So we've got different ones. You've got your offset one, and then you've got your competition circle. The competition circle is inline.
Yeah, it's inline. It's one of the new ones BKK brought out recently. It's a very thinner gauge hook. It also looks much smaller, but what I like about this hook is it's a gap.
Oh, I see.
It's got a nice wide gap. It's a thin wire, super light.
And that's
hook.
the competition one you've got there?
Yes,
okay.
This is the new bullfish competition, they call it. So super light, nice and sharp as well, and then strong. I've had a few guys fishing with these. They don't bend quite easily, and they're quite happy with their fishing leagues and stuff. Okay. Especially if you're on a scratching day and you have to see what's
I like the gap. I can see the gap just between this one and your normal BKK offset circle, and there's definitely a difference in the gap. So we've got 4 O's and 5 O's here, depending on your bait you're going to use. If you're going to fish with sand prawns, and we'll get a little bit into the bait later, if you're going to be fishing with sand prawns, yes, then you can go 4 or 5. But if you're fishing big white sand crabs, you might need to go to a 6 O. Because that hook's going to disappear inside your sand crab, depending on the size of your sand crab. If you can get those smaller little sand crabs, but sometimes you can't find them, you only get those big white sand crabs, then you're going to have to go to a 6-0.
Yes.
Okay, so that's hooks. So now we've got a leader start onto the hook. Leader length for your hook.
For your hook, usually you can go, if it's a flat sea, you can go long. There's sometimes skittish or scallum, as we like to call it. They scallum.
So if you're saying long 70-80 centimeters?
You can go up to a meter.
Up to a meter, okay.
Yeah, you can go up to a meter. If you're able to cast a meter long trace, you can go with up to a meter. So we've got 2 traces here for today. The one is for sliding. It's mostly got your single swivel on with your sinker. It's going to slide. So you're going to put on your sinker. This is just for showing now, but you want to be able to hook it in to cast it further if you want to cast it further. So your sinker line is going to be a bit longer than your hook line, and then you will be able to clip it in if it's got a clip available, like on these. So then your bait and everything stays together.
Okay, so your normal clip in, your sinker is a little bit longer than your hook, and you can clip it in. Once the sinker hits the sand,
this thing will disconnect.
It will disconnect. So as soon as your sinker hits the sand, your bait clips out.
Yes.
So, but that's on a clip-in sinker. On a sliding trace, you can go a little bit shorter on your sinker. line. You don't have to make it that long.
You can go shorter throughout the thing because it's sliding. So this
Yes.
thing is actually unlimited to length or to where the next swivel is
Yes.
that stops it. So you've got quite a long, and this is just when it's skittish today and it takes it. It doesn't feel that sinker immediately. It's got
Okay.
a while where it's going to swim around before it takes.
Okay, so let's talk about the other setup we've got here. You've got the three-way swivel.
Yes.
But it's not your traditional three-way swivel, it's a combination swivel.
Yes. So it's where the one swivel is connected loosely on the second swivel. So you've got two swivels connected to each other, but they're not like your old three-way swivel, circle, 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 and they're
It's actually two swivels.
two swivels.
It's two different, that's why they call it a combination swivel.
Yes. So what we do is we connect the main line on the, you guys will see if you have these, it's got a big eye on top, it's for your leader. Then it's got a one directly underneath it, it's for your sinker. And then on the loose one that can twist around and around is for your hook. And this is so it doesn't tangle up. It does sometimes tangle up after a while, but it takes a bit longer than usual, the traditional three-way swivels. And then the reason for this type of trace is when your sinker, it works as the setting part of the hook. So it helps set the hook easier in the fish's mouth. So you can also make this one longer. You don't have to always, this trace you can make a bit longer than usual than your sliding one, as we don't have that movability on the swivel going as far as it wants to.
That's something interesting on the sliding trace. Johan talked about it now, where the sinker actually sets the hook. Because if you've got a sliding trace and the fish picks it up, that swivel is sliding up and down your main line. So this the bait is moving freely through this. So the sinker will stay stationary and your line will start moving. So what I picked up, some of the guys do, is they make this a sliding sinker, but they put another swivel. So they give like a meter or meter and a half or so, and they put another swivel there. So when the fish picks up, that swivel can only go to your second swivel.
Yes.
And that acts as a stopper.
So that's what we're going to call a limited slide.
A limited slide. So it's not that the line, the swivel, the sinker can slide all the way up. And then once that swivel hits your stopper, the hook will also set. Especially when you're fishing with a circle hook, you need that tension for that. You don't want the fish to start swimming and he swims 20-30 meters and he's still the hook hasn't set yet.
Yes.
So that's just a handy hint to put in a little stopper.
One that we missed is on a sliding trace, you can put a bead on both sides.
Oh yes, definitely the beads.
So your swivel doesn't hit on the knot the whole time.
Knot, yes. Definitely get those beads. Either side of your, even if you're fishing, estuary fishing, any type of sliding fishing that you're doing, make sure that you put those little green or red beads either side on your swivel. It makes a huge difference in entangling and the sliding and everything, because sometimes your swivel can get stuck on that knot. If it goes over the knot, it can get stuck. Okay, so let's talk about the different type of sinkers. When I ask you, you said cone sinker.
Yeah.
Why do you prefer a cone sinker compared to a grab sinker?
I prefer the cone. When the sea is quite calm, these bury themselves into the sand and they won't go anywhere. You can actually struggle to get these out of the surf against your traditional nylon sinker or grab sinker. So what happens is when these two, and we never know where these two lie, close to each other or further apart from each other. Then these lie like this, close to each other, and the fish comes and he wants to pick up the food. That, I don't think you like someone stabbing you in the side with something while trying to eat your food. So that can usually irritate them, and it will make them not take your bait for the day. And that's why sometimes your friend can have the pickups and you don't. It can be something simple like a sinker or trace line.
Longer, shorter.
Yeah. So length, usually on traces, length can depend if a fish takes it for the day.
So the calmer the sea, the longer you can go with your trace. Okay.
The rougher the sea, the shorter the trace. So
Is that for tangling?
It's for tangling and for your bait not to move up and down too crazy. So that's why I always make my traces for the day at the sea. I never pre-make a trace. I can't fish with pre-made traces.
Something that I've started doing now, if you know I'm fishing a comp, we don't want to be making traces all day long.
Yeah.
I make my hook trace, but I don't put the swivel on.
Yeah, you can.
So I make it a little bit longer, and then when you tie it on, you can decide how long you want to make it. So just a handy little tip is you can make pre-made traces, but don't put your swivel on, because you're going to decide there, do you want longer traces or shorter traces. So put your line on your hook, put it in a little Ziploc bag, but make your trace line nice and long. And then when you're at the beach and you break off, especially when you're fishing for galjoen, you can just decide how long you actually want to make it on the day. So the reason that I like the cone sinkers is, if you look at any other sinker, if you look at this, if you look at that now, if the current goes, it can only go and it will stay on one place. It can't roll around. So the same with your grab sinkers. It's gonna grab in, but this one, it just rolls around. It doesn't really actually go anywhere, and that is what Johan talked about. It burrows in. So even when we're estuary fishing, I like fishing with these ones. We've seen that they really do lie still, and compared to your other sinkers. I like fishing with cone sinkers.
Your nylon one also has something where the wire one doesn't. Is if you cast this one, let's say a bit too far from where you wanted it to go, you can actually pull this one in and it will go sit again. Where your wired one, usually it clips over, and it's gonna roll.
It's not gonna sit anyway. No. Yeah, that's also a handy tip. But it's all preference.
Yeah, it's
every
all
angler. I mean, that's like saying like the old age, or what do you call it, the argument between a Toyota and a Ford.
Yeah,
you're always going to have a different opinion from every angler on what sinker, on what hook, on what rod, on what reel. So the stuff that we're saying is just in general. It's not the alpha and omega. It's not the beginning and the end of steenbras fishing. It's just what seems to be working.
But we all know the Ford is the better choice when buying a car.
We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there.
We know that now.
Okay, let's go bait. Let's go bait. Some couple of interesting baits that the guys have been talking about, or I've had reports about the last couple of weeks on steenbras fishing, and I want to hear your opinion on that, is choka with a red bait around it.
I've heard it as well, but I've never actually had someone coming in and said, check my steenbras, I just caught with my choka and red bait.
I've heard a couple of guys actually saying that they've caught galjoen and white steenbras. Because white steenbras and a galjoen, if you're fishing for sand galjoen, you're basically fishing in the same area that you can pick up crackers, you can pick up white steenbras, you can pick up bellman. It's all in those areas where there's surf with rocks, loose rocks between. So yeah, I've heard about the guys saying that you cut your choka and you put a little bit of red bait on it, and you smash the red bait into it. You put it on a hook, and then you take a red bait, cut it open, and fold it around and tie that all together. And they've caught some pretty decent steenbras on that.
Yeah, you see, guys have also spoke about just red bait, but they make it a long bait. Like they make the red bait look like a worm bait. You know, so it's a longish type of bait. It's not just a blob of bait at the bottom of the hook. So I haven't tried that yet. I think you're going to have quite a bit of bait cotton on top there for it not to move down as you cast.
What's nice about steenbras bait is actually that it's you can have very versatile baits. You can have your moonshine worm, you can have your bloodworm, you can have prawns, you can have sand crabs, you can have sandworm. You can have the sandworm that you get in ice now. You can go with sandworm. A little bit difficult to get your sandworm, but you can go with sandworm, and then also you can have the wonderworm, the wonderworm that the guys get from Cape Town.
Yes.
So there's a lot of baits, a different type of baits, and I even saw a video of Zuluk that he opened the sand crab, he opened the shell, and he put a white mussel in there, and he closed the shell again,
Yeah.
and then he taped it around again.
Yeah.
Put cotton on that again.
Tito also likes that.
So yeah, there's a lot of very versatile baits, and the thing about all those baits are it's not only for a steenbras. I mean, if you're throwing a bloodworm, you can pick up a bellman, a cracker, a galjoen, a cob. You can pick up anything on that bait. So that's something that's really nice. When you're fishing for steenbras, you're targeting white steenbras in that area, but you can actually pick up anything on that bait.
Yeah.
Because the structure and the area of fishing is actually not just for white steenbras. White sand crab, awesome bait, and then a pink prawn. I've seen some guys doing the white sand crab with pink prawns combo.
Yeah.
I've seen the combo with pink prawn and choco combo. And now we've heard the stories about the choca and red bait combo.
Yeah.
So there's actually a lot of different baits that you can try for a white steenbras.
Yeah, and in Eastern Cape, it's mainly clean choca.
Clean choca, just choca.
Just
Just
choca.
with their little.
Yeah, and then my experience in Namibia was just mussel.
Okay.
White mussel.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, white mussel always a good bait.
Always.
And I've seen some guys taking your shrimp and your prawns and hammer that into your choca bait as well.
Yeah.
And to give it that flavor, and
Yeah.
then they tie the choca on with that crushed prawns inside.
Yeah.
To give it that extra little bit of flavor.
Yeah, it will work.
Okay, guys, I think we've covered everything. I want to go fishing for white steenbras this week, but unfortunately, I don't think the weather's going to be perfect for white steenbras fishing. So I'll have to try something else. Yeah, I hope to catch you guys in the next episode. Remember to comment, leave a little like, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Juan, for joining us again, and thank you
Yes.
for all the insights, and thank you for all the gear. So we'll catch you guys next week.